radio show. Learn how to help your body and yourself feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jodi Suson. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Self-Care with myself, Jodi Suson of Suson Essentials. And we are honoring National Nutrition Month. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about different ways to support your body in, with the proper nutrition and what that does for you and how it can give you more energy, mental acuity. And then when you don't eat the proper things, how it will make you depressed, less energy, want to sleep more, and not the good sleep, but the drugged out kind of sleep. So we hope that we will have our guest here today, Montre Hartage of the NFL. It appears he may be running a little bit behind today, but looking, forward to hearing about his health journey, which is really transformational. So, well, let's get started. So if you want to call into the show, the number is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, the number you can call into is 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. If you're listening to on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio, again, same number, call 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. Looks like our guest may be calling me on the phone, but we can't do that because, hold on a second. So we just let him know, can't answer the phone. So, okay. So anyways, I find in life, and I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. Life can hand you all sorts of things, and it does. And it's all about how you manage and how you address those things. It looks like Montre said his phone died, so he'll be getting on, I'm sure, as soon as he can. So let me just see here. But it's not about what happens to you in life. It's about how you manage it. So I'm actually going to go to a website, and I'm going to show it to you. So again, if you're on YouTube, you can take a look at this and yay, we have Montre here. Yay. So give me a second here. I'm going to pause. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about Montre before we bring him on board. So Montre Hartage is a NFL player with the New York Giants. He graduated from Northwestern University here in the Chicagoland area. And he has a Bachelor of Arts in Learning and Organizational Change. And for those of you who don't know what organizational change, it's, to have because I studied organizational change, you have to be willing to think outside the box if you want to create change in life for yourself and to create change in the lives of others. So Montre shared that he had faced, like myself, probably, and not, he had different challenges, but health challenges. And he felt that the Western medicine community wasn't addressing that. And so he chose to adopt a holistic lifestyle. And he's passionate about educating people about a long-term success strategy and developing that foundation for well-being. And I want to tell you, before I bring on Montre, that when I met Montre, I knew he was an amazing leader. Amazing leaders are not born. Amazing leaders are created when we have the experiences in life. They drive us to make changes. Some people don't, some people do. You're going to meet a man who did. So I'm honored to bring on Montre Hartage. And let me bring him on. I still have technical challenges while being honored. So let's do that. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. How about yourself?
It's to us when we complain anyway, right? So, you heard my my introduction about you.
That.
Yeah. And so first of all, there's so much to talk about. And so you're an NFL player with the New York Giants. And, you know, I think it's really important for people to understand the journey that got you there. Would you be so kind to share? Like,
Yeah,
what?
absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And just in terms of just starting from day one, and just kind of moving through that process, or?
Well, so here's the thing. If I recall correctly, you know, you grew up in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
And there were some challenges there. And I would love for the world, actually, I am going to show people something first, and I think it'll help our conversation. So what I was just bringing up was the success iceberg illusion. And I'm going to do a share screen real quick. So we're going to, I don't know if we end up being in there or not. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so we're on the side. So the success iceberg illusion, right? Which is that people, let me just page down here. My computer's slow. Oh, where did my iceberg go? So, but basically, you know, I had a really cool, here it is. Cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to make that a little bigger, or maybe not. So the success illusion is that here you are, you're an NFL player, and a lot of people, I feel, overlook what it took to get there. They overlook the discipline, the hard work, the dedication, the disappointment, the failures, because we all fail. We either, and the successful people fail forward. You have to fail in order to have success. And so what people see is the tip of the iceberg. Oh, that was easy. I want you to tell people what wasn't easy. Fair enough? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to stop.
Absolutely.
Okay. So go ahead.
I kind of look at life as like, I think I was telling one of my friends yesterday, but if you think about an S&P 500, you know, trend over a 20-year span, it has incline or upward, you know, trend. And at times, like, you may just look at the S&P 500 as if it's good the entire 20 years. But, you know, throughout those different segments, whether it's different 1-year segments, 5-year segments, you can see that recessions happen. You know, there's a back trend within, you know, the trend that you overall see within that 20-year return span. And so people may say, oh, like, your entire life, it looks like you've just been grinding grinding towards, your position in life. And seems like overall, when you look at, your roadmap, it looks very linear. And like I mentioned, if you zoom in, you can see those different recession points, or those points where I had to take a few steps back, or I was hit with a few challenges and obstacles. So that's kind of like how I like to describe it from the macro level of, where I am and how I got there. But it all started in Cordell, Georgia, small town, southwest, Georgia, place called Cordell, a rural town, approximately 11,000 people. And so whenever you think about a town like that, you think about who are the people, what resources are there, what's the environment like? And so for me growing up, living mostly with my mom, not really, I guess, having opportunities to do things that were not in the community. So the only thing that was in the community was mostly, sports related things and just family oriented types of activities. So that's what I pretty much grew up around. And so having an opportunity to travel, or having the opportunity to do other things outside of those two things was pretty much non-existent. And I didn't really know what was there more to offer. Kind of going through my process in terms of, being a Cordelian, I was really good at football. I was really good at sports. And I became, one of the top athletes in my community. And then that was also a time I realized I had sickle cell trait. And I had sickle cell trait, and I didn't know what that was at the time. I asked my dad, and apparently I got it from him. And then I realized there was a shortage of, breath when it came to conditioning, or anytime I felt exhausted. And so for me, I'm like, this is just normal, and things like that. I was like, I didn't know it was a blood disorder. And so communicating that with, the athletic community, or even just my coaches and strength staff, they didn't really understand that process, especially with the lack of research that has been done on it in terms of Black athletes. So moving forward with that, it was one of those things where I didn't realize, there could be some foods, or there could be some other resources that could help me in that space. But I got through that as a champion. I didn't let that, dictate my journey or anything. But on the way to, to the collegiate level, I did find myself at a disadvantage with food. Food and the access to food played a huge role in terms of my ability to, I feel like, develop in a way where I feel like I could have, because when you grow up on processed foods, or you grow up on, food stamps and things like that, that definitely has an effect on a lot of things, such as acne. I think number one thing, acne was very huge for me.
What was very huge with you?
I'm sorry.
What was very huge?
Acne.
Acne. Okay. Yeah.
Troubles with acne. I had colitis, and I had, I think, two surgeries because of my tonsils were infected. I did not get them removed. Just had an app. I forgot what it's called. Anyways, I just had it drained or whatever. And so had that issue, and throughout my senior year, I was just sick a lot. And it was just like from the food that I was eating. I was trying to do everything I could, as much as I could as possible, but I wasn't really sure. What it was.
Talking, and I'm going to unplug my tower garden. Sorry. Hold on a second, because it just went on. And I want to make sure the world can hear you. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking.
And so I was sick in high school. And then, you think about, getting recruited as a high school player. I had an opportunity to sign with Northwestern, and then that's the whole story of itself. But I was committed to Georgia Southern, and then I decommitted, and signed with Northwestern a couple of days before signing day. And then I ended up, making that transition to college, going from a very warm climate to a very,
Chilly.
cold climate, chilly, very windy, all you can think about. And so it was definitely very different for me geographically and just culturally.
Yeah.
Camouflage who I am, I wanted to adapt and wanted to make the best that I could have out of, that opportunity. And within those challenges, I realized, food was still the foundation of, my success or my ability to be the best version I could be. You think about, like I mentioned, the sickle cell trait and obviously my acne, my tonsillitis and things like that. And at times I was just like, what is this? Like, is this just my environment? Do I have a certain relationship with food? How am I able to kind of, get over this hump or this barrier? And I realized, for instance, like my sophomore year, or I can go back to my freshman year, starting there, I didn't have my first legitimate breakout until the winter of 2016. I just played a bowl game. We played against Tennessee, and we had like a break before we started the bowl week. And I went home and I started to realize I was breaking out really, really bad. And this was also a time where I was trying to gain weight, maintain weight, and just trying to build on some bulk. And I just always remember, the staff preaching, drink milk, protein. And that was like my religion at the time. I indulged with that at night, in the morning, and then, would wake up in excruciating pain and just feeling so many, types of discomfort. And so once
you were breaking out, you're drinking lots of milk and lots of protein, and you're breaking out.
I'm just breaking out.
Yeah. And so I'm going to just pipe in for just a moment.
Yeah.
The world may not know, especially the young kids, right? They think, acne is a rite of passage or whatever. All teenagers get it. And they don't. Because acne is a signal from the body. And that signal is saying, hey, we've got toxins in my body. They need to get out whatever way they can get out.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out of your face. When I was detoxing and Andrew was detoxing, they came out of our scalp, for goodness sakes. Going to come out.
Absolutely.
So go ahead and continue on.
That's important. And that definitely was a huge marker for me because it was one morning I got so infected. I went to the training staff and I was down in Tampa at the time because we were playing in Tampa. I was like, hey, is there any possible way I can go to a doctor? You could see on my face, you could see almost like the flesh. It was white. It looked as if, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, my computer.
Technology is always a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
Relationship with technology. It's all good.
Yeah, so you could see the flesh. You can see like all the inflammation. It was really, really bad. And the biggest thing, have you been shaving? I was just like, well, not really, but yeah, like I had like a razor, but it was like more so like clippers. So I wasn't really like,
got it.
Yeah, just like clippers that you would put on your hair. So I was just like, this isn't anything that you would potentially get bacteria from because I clean the clippers and stuff like that. And so they were putting it all on, you're probably just infected. It's probably just a rash. I'm like, I don't think this is a rash. And so I went over that period and they're like, hey, we can't do anything for you right now. Wait until we get back in Evanston. And so I'm like, okay. So I waited like a week and imagine putting on a helmet and Florida heat, friction, humidity, guys running into each other Oh my God, it's probably one of the sweats. It's probably one of the worst feelings you can ever, like, it's almost as if you had like a pad like on your skin, like your skin being the surface, and it's like open and it's like wounded.
Oh,
And like it was just constantly, creating friction, creating scars. It was just like, yeah, it was brutal. But got through that. And then finally got on some antibiotics that cleared it up. I'm going to my sophomore year. And then it wasn't until summer of 2016, another breakout happened. And it was going into preseason. And the same thing started to happen. And now I started to get keloids. I'm not sure if you're familiar with keloids.
Oh, I am. I used to have them. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I have keloids. Matter of fact, that's how my skin used to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Until I cleaned up my diet. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Started to get those towards the end of 2016, and then I got on more antibiotics. And then 2017 was my experience trying Accutane, and one of the worst things ever. And that was the spring of 2017. So I had went another year. I'm like, what is something? I'm trying to do the best I can. And I realized during the fall of 2016 was the season. So I couldn't put myself under that, because Accutane can be a struggle. It can be brutal to a lot of people. And then my experience with Accutane, it was crazy breakouts again. It was also joint pains, and we're doing spring ball, and I'm still a coach. Like, hey, they weren't really understanding my needs, because they're just like, you just have that, and that's all that matters. And I was really just
for people on the who are watching live on YouTube or Facebook, for callers. I mean, you can't see this, but I wanted people to actually see what a keloid looks like. And I'm also going to describe it, because even though I know, I think that you're right. Some people probably don't know. So and I'm going to read this. So it's a firm, rubbery lesion or shiny fibrous nodule, and it can vary from pink to the color of the person's skin, or red to dark brown in color. And it's basically, a keloid is a scar and is benign, and it's not contagious, but it is accompanied by the things that you talk about, right? Itchiness, pain, changes in texture. And I'm going to see if I can make this a little larger, maybe not. Oopsie daisy. Oops. So we lost that. But basically, and that's okay. I mean, but the point is that it's not comfortable, and it's not how the body's supposed to heal, right? Yeah. And I don't even know, and I'm going to make a suspect here, or like an educated guess. The body doesn't have what it needs in order to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I seem to have been frozen. Am I freezing over there? It looks like
You're okay now?
Yeah, it looks like that. Okay. So go ahead. So in 2016, we have those keloids again, and I'm going to let you take the
and then we move into spring/winter 2017, and I'm trying to make a radical change. I'm like, hey, like, why is this a thing? I'm like, Accutane. I've been hearing about it. People have been taking it, and I mentioned before, people have their different experiences with it, and I realized that the biggest issue for me was joint pains. Honestly, all I do is run, quote unquote, for a living right now, and going to school, and it's just like, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized the symptoms for it, and I was just like, it became a thing where I was just like, I can't take it anymore. I would wake up from just a normal workouts that I usually thrive and excel at, and I'm like, why am I extremely sore, or I feel like I can't move? And so what I would do, and I mean, with the dermatologist, she was just like, well, we can kick back the dosages. And so I did that before completely going off of it. But during that meantime, I started doing a lot of research on food. And then I'm not sure what really brought me to that state of living, but I think it was just the environment that I was in. And I realized that there are other options in terms of what protein looks like. There's other options in terms of what carbohydrates looks like. There's other options in terms of what hydration looks like. And then I started to make that shift going into the season of 2017, because I was from spring, got to the summer, and then I got to the summer, I was just like, okay, like I was still kind of afraid because I know what I've done to this point. It's been an athlete and it's got me to this point. And so I didn't actually make the change until the season. It was against Wisconsin, 2017. After I think it was maybe the third or fourth game, I was struggling with just feeling normal before a game. I would feel as if I needed to puke and just feel nauseous the entire game. And this was during the period where I was still ingesting milk before the game and also at night, the prior day. And so I was just like, what is the link between this? And so I was just like, someone mentioned at the time, one of my friends was like, try elimination diet. Try and see what that looks like, and just use alternative options. Use alternatives in order to, supplement for, the things that you're replacing it for. And so I did that. And then the next game, I was just like, like I'm cutting out milk. And this was just like a radical thing to do as an athlete at that time, especially when the dietitians are preaching. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then I cut out dairy. Like, I think it was just only milk at the time. So I can't say entire dairy. And then I started to see a shift, puffiness and inflammation. And I was like, okay, like what can I do next? And I was just like, can I start to cut out, the entire, category of dairy? So I did that. And then so throughout that 2017, the end of the 2017 season, I cut out dairy. And then going into the 2018 season was just like the game changer for me. It was my senior year, and I made probably one of the biggest radical changes that they've seen an athlete come across, Northwestern, at least in the football stack. Domain was I cut out red meat, cut out dairy. I eliminated so much sugar. I brought the topics complex carbs, which is simple carbs, and like how our body digests those two totally different, and having fresh fruits on the sidelines versus just all Gatorade chews or all Gatorade things that are going to last in our body a little bit longer. And at the time, I still didn't understand the sickle cell trait thing. It was just more so like, hey, you just need to. Well, the thing that they offered was like beet juice and things like that. And so I was like, okay, like learning more about like how the nitric, I think it's nitric oxide, how it opens up your veins and allows,
Yeah, I actually take something for that daily. Do you know
I'm
that?
sorry?
I actually take something for that daily. And I don't have it down here, but it's called BFF. I call it Best Friend Forever, but it's not. Yeah. It's a chewable tab, and it actually opens up those. It helps you get more nitric oxide. If somebody in the home is listening, he might bring down the bottle. I don't know who that would be. Anyway, it's so there's like because so anyway, so go ahead. I mean, but it's interesting. So I want to just spend just a moment talking about the fact that you opted out of dairy and meat and no sugar. And I want to talk for a minute about what's in meat and dairy and how and I now eat all that still. But I don't advocate for anybody to eat a certain way other than without toxins. And I doubt that when you were in Georgia, and then even when you're in Chicago at Northwestern or in, thank you. Thank you. So it's blood vessel flexibility formula. That's what that is. So it actually, it's an instant nitric oxide boost, and it increases anabolism, methylation, and gives you natural energy. And it's all plant-based, right?
Yeah.
So we take this daily, better than a cup of coffee, although coffee tastes better. Well, this tastes like a sweet tart, believe it or not. But going back to sourcing, the reason most people, and I won't say it's why you got symptomatic, it's because there's antibiotics in the milk and, of course, the meat. There's hormones you don't need, that I don't need. There's glyphosate, because they're feeding the cows things that have been sprayed with Roundup and the active ingredient glyphosate, and it gives you brain fog. And the only thing that I know that gets rid of that brain fog is ginkgo and B12, and then I use high doses of iodine drops. I'm never good at the camera here. There we go. So iodine. So I just take this, under the tongue. But so it's an issue. I remember in 2015, I think it was, and I'll look it up while you're chatting, but there was a truck that turned over in Wisconsin that was headed for a farm, to feed cattle. And it was the overflow of Skittles. Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty random.
So it's not only you are what you eat, you are what they eat. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I'll look up that article, but so how did you feel after removing those things?
Personally, it was a game changer. Speaking of game changers, there's a Netflix show called Game Changers. That talks about being plant-based and like being an athlete and what that, the research behind it. The fat being in your cells overnight because of, ingesting meat or ingesting processed foods, and how that has an ability or has an effect on your heart for the next day, and even your ability to, pretty much be quote unquote, optimal for that day or for things that you're doing, whether it's sports or just living or exercising, which is really interesting. But yeah, going into the 2018 season, I was making a lot of just a lot of eating changes, just dietary changes in general. And then I started even making my own cookies because at night, baking my own cookies at night because during the season, we would have like cookies and milk for snack before every, before every game. I'm like, why are we, I started asking these questions. I guess I was taking too many red pills. I'll just say, why are we eating pizza before a game? Why are we eating cookies and, cookies and milk that have so much sugar and have nothing but dairy products? Proven information that is causing inflammation and causing, people may be allergic to it and are taking all these different digestive enzymes in order to digest it. That's
right.
Yeah, your body can't even digest it.
So let me we actually have I forgot to mention we have to go to commercial break. So like 7 minutes ago. Oops.
Oh.
I love what we're talking about. So let me do a few commercials, and then we're going to come back to the things that we're doing, like taking digestive enzymes and what we're doing to offset, because I think it's really important. Note how long it actually takes for you to get those toxins out of your body. So let's do this.
Do you worry about finances, family, health, job, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down-to-earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice today. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. Take advantage of the deal of the day. Go to zeldaspeaks.com or call 312-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's zeldaspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today. Visit zeldaspeaks.com.
Oops. Let's see.
Do you or your organization need space for an event? Call the Quarry Event Center at 2423 East 75th Street in Chicago for your parties, banquets, award ceremonies, repasses, concerts, and business seminars. Available 7 days a week. Now under new management. Call us at the Quarry at 773-663-2557. That's 773-663-2557.
I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata.
One more commercial coming in here, maybe two.
Did you know that more than 100 million U.S. adults are now living with diabetes, pre-diabetes, obesity, and pain? We know these chronic conditions are the leading causes of death and disability, and they are driven by our lifestyles. The good news is you have the power to prevent these chronic diseases by joining the Functional Food Program. We teach you to make simple changes and transform your life. When participating in the Functional Food Program, you will learn how to navigate the grocery store, avoid hidden sugars, identify GMOs, improve gut health, support the immune system, and more. On top of that, you'll receive a healthy lifestyle jumpstart kit and begin eliminating toxins immediately. So, improve your health by clicking the link below and join the Functional Food Program today.
All right, and just one other commercial I think that we have here, or we can actually, yeah, there is one other one I want to share. So, and we are going to have a few people joining us today. I'm going to stop the screen share. There we go. And there we go.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson, Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Tucson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses, and we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Tucson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and energy-based healing.
All right, we are back. So, so go ahead, Montre, and we were talking about, well, actually we ended with the fact that Netflix has a movie or a show called Game Changers, and it's about how athletes are making changes in their health and how you felt, and now like that. So go ahead and share with that. And I think is Naima ready to come back, join us on stage? Okay, so before you do that, let me introduce you to an amazing woman. She's our executive producer. Her name is Naima Latif. She's one of my soul sisters. I consider her one of my soul sisters. So let me just do that. Hi, welcome. So Naima, meet Montre.
Well, good morning, Montre, and welcome. We appreciate your story so much. You've inspired so many just by sharing your experience, and I'm looking forward to so many people following in your footsteps. You're definitely a light that is paving the way in the darkness.
I appreciate that. Good morning, by the way. It's a pleasure to be on here. It's a pleasure to, have a, platform where I can come on here and share. So I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, the world needs to hear you. I mean, and I have never been accused of kissing people's butt. I've been accused of other things, but that's not one of them. And I'm just going to own this. I always forget what position you play on the NFL. And I'm not making light of the NFL. I'm not making light of your position. I'm not making light of what you do. It's that you shine so bright. You shine so bright outside of that. You shine so bright.
I appreciate that.
And there's so much to you. And I love the fact. So here's the thing. Like, the fact that you are in the NFL helps people get your word out, right? It's kind of like with me. And I'm just going to show this real quick. I think I have it easily accessible. It's kind of, yeah, I do. So I'm just going to see if I can make it bigger before I show it. It's kind of like with me. God gave me this image to show the world, okay? So if it's hard to, let me just see if I can make it bigger. Yeah, I can. And then I'm just going to, so there's these transition photos, right? Where the bodybuilder, and then 234 pounds, and then, of course, healthy again. And so that's what people then they'll look at that. So that's just so to get someone's attention. The NFL, forgive me, is a way to get attention for the true you, for the authentic you, for your word, what you have to tell the world. It allows you the ability to tell everybody what you're doing, and I'm so grateful that, that you're here telling people, because people need to know what's in their food, that it's caused, it may be common to have acne. It may be common to have, for certain parts of the community, to have sickle cell. It may be common to have symptoms of tonsillitis. It may be common to have joint pain. It may be common to sleep in too late, but it's not normal.
See, that speaks volume, because once you create a narrative for any type of concept or situation, the community or various communities, that becomes the norm. So people tend to think within that box and tend not to, proceed to explore. Exploration, what I've learned is exposure equals expansion. And so, what that bridge of exposure can connect you to different perspectives and to different outlets and to different stories, to different mechanisms in order to help enhance, the one, thyself or even other people in the community. And so, for me to kind of tell my story, even to, the box that I was in or the community or the bubble that I was in, I was able to actually, somehow tap into other different sources, whether it's me connecting with other people in their story or me taking a step back and realizing, like, why am I doing this? Or is this, am I putting true purpose in this, true value in this, or can I monetize this for, for service for people, or is it more so just all for me and for more profit and for more benefits to me? And so just taking a step back and trying to analyze all those different situations, I think people will realize either you're living or you're just existing in life. And so, with those two mechanisms, I've been really trying to, have a focus in terms of what are some things I put purpose in, and things that I put purpose in, I put value into also. And if I put value into it, the next thing, there's unlimited things for me to do with it now, because if I want to monetize it, or if I just want to give back in a way where it just serves a billion people, that's my way, that's my fruitful way of living. And so I think people just have to really take a step back and do that work, because we can really just kind of become quote unquote sheep in a lot of different areas of our lives if we don't really start to ask ourselves, like, what are some things that what are the essence of who we are and things that we align ourselves with.
Right. And do we become complacent, right? Like, we have a choice in the matter, and that's trying to capture the right words. But I guess what I want to say is that people have a choice to follow the status quo or lead.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
I know we're kind of presenting a contrast to what is popularly promoted in terms of the junk food and the unhealthy kinds of recreation that's popular among young people. How do we make it cool to be healthy? I mean, do we focus on, do you want to get rid of your acne? Things that young people care about in order to make them decide healthier choices, despite the fact that all these other things are being thrown at them as the fun thing to do. But when it comes to taking care of your body, I mean, people admire athletes because of what they do and admire the physical appearance. But for young people to make the choices to get themselves healthy on the inside.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson.
That's part of what they want to develop as a lifestyle. How do we make that popular? Is it a matter of someone like you speaking or doing regular appearances, or how do we make that happen?
That's a great question. I think what you see now when you think about marketing, right?
Yeah.
People connect with different things, whether it's influencers, athletes, people that they idolize. And what I realized, I took a class back at Northwestern, and they broke it down like this. They're like, there's a speed limit. There's different rules and laws in society. But humans do not necessarily believe in these laws until they have an emotional connection.
Until they have what?
An emotional commitment.
And what creates the emotional commitment?
It can be, most of it is driven by fear.
Or pain.
Yeah. So prime example, when you think about, I guess I can break it down into like pain and fear, and you think about the past and you think about the future. Whenever you think about past experiences that may be negative, those more inmates may be more painful. And for the way you live your life, you want to live your life in pain, or that, that essence of what that may look like, quote unquote, in the present. And then also in the fear, people may be fear-based, like, hey, if I do this, this may cause this in the future. And so now you're just living in this gray area of life. And so you're just like, where do I go? And so now you're just looking at TV, or you're looking at social media, or you're looking at what influencers or role models that you have and what they're doing. And now you're subconsciously just going with their demand for life. At the end of the day, it's not until we actually set aside, understand our emotional connections to all these different communities or things that we're relying on, whether it's the food, whether it's our environment, we actually, we are kind of in this trance of not realizing that, we're not tapping into ourselves or making the connection with things, because our connection is on this other bridge. And so I think the biggest thing is the emotional connection. And if you're able to hear someone's story, that emotion, that true feeling, that essence of like, this is what happened, this is that person's story, and that has affected me. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna do something because that person did. And it's not until you can bridge that emotional part, I think, in my perspective.
Good answer. Good answer. Hey, we have a caller, and it's the number is 312-671, and so we're gonna take the question, and the caller's gonna give their name and where they're coming from. Let me just do that. Hold on. Hello, welcome to the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio. We are on Self-Care with Jodi Suson and Montre Hartage at the NFL, and we're talking about illness prevention. And what's your name and where are you calling from?
Thank you very much, Glenn Ladd, wait on you, Simone. We don't die too much like how everything is
Hello, what's your name? What's your name?
Minister Robert Floyd. I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Well, welcome to the show. What question do you have for Montre?
Well, I would like to, concerning prevention of health, I like to respond like this. Health is our wealth, and our wealth is our health. And we are having a event today, and it's all about our health, because it's concerning what we call atonement. And atonement is a part of health, and it's also according to prosperity. And I know that the event is going to be with Dr. Julius Thomas Nelson today, and he's going to be teaching on natural health prevention also today.
Okay, so I'm sorry, what is your question? Minister, what is your question?
Okay, my question is, in Chicago, will they be able to attend our event today, which is all about prevention of health? See, I said our health is our wealth. And Dr. Julius Thomas Nelson is going to be teaching on that today.
Well,
but
I mean, okay.
A natural process with National Black Wall Street, Chicago. And it's going to be today in Chicago.
Okay, so today in Chicago, you can go onto Facebook. You can go onto Facebook or onto YouTube and post that information for the listeners so that they can join. So you can go to the Suson Essentials YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, it's Suson Essentials, and then post that information so people can join you. Does that sound good?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Is that your Facebook or their Facebook?
Well, YouTube is it's YouTube. I do have a Facebook as well.
It's YouTube.
It's YouTube, and you can post it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm have to
Listen.
write that information down, and we have 4655 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
Okay, so 46. Okay, put that in the thread for us. We're going to stick to the question, okay?
Okay, well,
Thank you.
I'm in Chicago.
In Chicago, on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and what's the four-digit number?
It's 4655.
4655, South Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, for those who don't attend. Thank you. All right. Room 203. Thank you so much. We're going to take the next call. Thank you. 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you. All right. So free advertising. But I'm happy to have him put that in the thread, you know, because it is important. So does anybody know what this clicking noise is, by the way? I know Montre, you have no idea. I don't know if it's coming from me or.
Well, I'm about to go, but I do want to certainly thank Montre for sharing that information. And please, you know, make sure you give us contact information for, I'm sure there are many people who would like to invite you, just like Mr. Plump did, you know, like to invite you to speak at their events or visit their events or you know, meet some youth at their events, because you are a motivator and you are one that can inspire. So make sure you.
Also, Mr. Plump wanted him to speak at the event. He wanted him to speak at the event. Is that what I missed?
Well, I know he wants you to attend. He didn't mention speaking because I know he wants you to meet the person who's presenting, but I'm sure that there are people who would like to invite you to speak to their youth groups and things like that. So, you know, if you've got a Facebook, YouTube, or whatever contact information, make sure that you reiterate that during the show so that people can follow up, because I'm sure that, you know, they'll see you as a gold mine, a voice that will be listened to with a message that we all need to hear. So thank you so much. And I know you've got to go to a break in a moment. Yeah, I guess probably.
Yeah, I do. And then another thing, if Montre, you want to put in, you know, if you want to let me know which profiles I can share, I'll share it in the chat. I know I've got your LinkedIn profile, I think. Here. I've got your Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn profile where people can follow you. You can share that in the thread.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right. And thank you so much. We appreciate you. We'll see you again.
All right. So go to commercial. Let me just do that. Share screen.
With a Place of Peace pop-up from Suson Essentials, you are able to increase productivity, mental acuity, leaving you with higher energy and peace in just 20 minutes. We pop up at our office or yours.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses, and we do that.
Oh, goodness. I'm having technology issues.
With helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
All right. And then let me just do this.
Oh man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark. Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456. And schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456. Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Hi, everybody. So we are back. And before Montre and I get started again, I want to introduce a very special person. Her name is Zelda Robinson of Zelda Speaks, stress relief coach. You just heard her commercial. And Zelda and I met at the American Diabetes Association. And when I met Zelda, there was this immediate connection because she's a bright light and she speaks her truth and she helps others who can't speak their truth. So let me add Zelda to this. And when I met Zelda, there's an immediate connection because she's a bright light and she speaks her truth and she helps others who can't speak their truth. So I think we have, let me add Zelda to this. And when I met Zelda, there's an immediate connection. So we have Facebook going in the background maybe or something? Okay. All right. So welcome, Zelda.
I think I just froze.
Oh, you did? Okay. So.
Oh, there I am. Okay.
So.
Rising.
Technology issues today. So
talk about technologies. Try starting Monday morning mindfulness off stress-free and everything froze. Oh,
yeah.
That's like the beauty of technology.
Right. And here's the thing. It's kind of like I just kind of have to. I've just learned to really roll with the punches.
You do. So all you can do is breathe in and breathe out and hope everything turns out fine. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. Zelda, meet Montre. Montre, meet Zelda.
Grand Rising, Montre. Thank you so much for your sharing your life story. because people will listen to you. They may or may not hear us, but they'll listen to you because they've been conditioned. And sometimes conditioning works well. So we appreciate you. So thank you for showing up this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to hear my story and to become part of the light of change.
So
no, you're not part of the light. You are the light.
Yeah, you are the light. Let's be really clear about that. You are the light.
And the light that you continue to share this morning speaks volumes, because many times people who are in your position are afraid to speak out for whatever reason, because the powers that be, it's like, no, you can't say that. You represent us. So you represent the light, and we appreciate that. And as Jodi said, we're not known for sucking up or things of that nature, but just to be in a place, in a consciousness that allows you to be free, to be who you are, and to tell the truth and to share that truth. So thank you so very much for sharing that. And thank you for sharing the story about the sickle cell.
Oh.
Because I had that as a child, and it's in your blood, it never leaves.
Absolutely.
But I didn't have the occurrences that you had, so I'm very grateful for that. But as Jodi said, we met at the American Diabetes Association, and as a result of not having sickle cell trait occurrences, I don't know the term for them. Symptoms, yes. But I had everything else. And dairy is one of them. I'm so glad you spoke about dairy, because growing up, dairy was my best friend. I drank a gallon of milk whenever I could, because somebody told me, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Somebody told me that milk would grow my breasts as a child because I was flat chested.
Well,
I drank milk.
Well, I'm just going to say this. So most people don't know this. So my cup size, sorry, Montre, and sorry for the rest of the world, was a G because of all the hormones. Now, my mom was flat chested. She was like synonymous with a pancake. Okay. Flat pancake.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about bust size for like sexual reasons. Why do you think I was a G? Hormones.
Cows were our best friends, and we didn't even know it. We thought they were. They really weren't.
Well, I had a breast reduction because my back was blown out. I went from a G to a C. Now, I am not advocating for a breast reduction. It was probably the worst experience of my entire life, although I'm so grateful to have had it because, it made a difference. But I'm going to share something with you guys that I think, Montre, you drink this. Elmhurst 1925 nut milk. Do you drink that?
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
So the cashew milk, really great for people who have depression. That's nature's antidepressant. Almond milk, I forget the best.
I was just going to say, I don't drink any of those, but I do drink almond milk. Yes.
Yeah, oat milk.
Occasionally, not often at all.
Yeah, and that's okay. You pick the one you want, right? Oat milk is for people who have high histamine levels. And then they have walnut milk, which is a big fan here. I don't see the image here, but so walnut milk is amazing for brain health. And so I actually represent this company. We don't have them online, but if you're local to Chicago, call me because I can get it for you. But this is what we drink, and it's the proprietary process. I'm just going to say this. So all the other nut milks have a lot of fillers in them. And in honor of National Nutrition Month, they have emulsifiers, fillers, and things you just don't need, your body doesn't need. And what they've done is they have a proprietary process where they're using to peel the nut back using, I think it's like a steam or something, to be honest, I can't remember exactly. And the process helps keep the nutrients in the milk. It's nutrient dense. And this is what I use to create my recipe called Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa.
I love it.
And Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa has all the mushrooms in it, the mushroom powders. It has dandelion root in there, echinacea for your immune system. Dandelion will help detoxify your liver. It's been known to, help people
I
who
take it every day.
And so,
Every day.
yeah, and so Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa, and it still has cocoa in there, but it's organic, and the sweetener is monk fruit. You can use maple syrup. You can use coconut sugar. And you're wearing your Healy, I see. And and so, in honor of National Nutrition Month, think about how you can recreate your meals. And I was cooking. So going to what you were saying, Montre, about having cookies. So I love cookies.
Thanks to Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz says if you're going to eat cookies, make your own. Montre, you did the right thing, because when you realize how much sugar is in one cookie, it's like, oh my God, you just may as well get a 5-pound bag of sugar and do this, because that's exactly what you're doing.
So
let me go back to the milk very quickly. Probably 20, maybe even 30 years ago, I'm sitting in there because I had milk cause mucus just everywhere. I'm sitting in the ENT specialist office, and I'm in the waiting room, and there are magazines. There's a yoga magazine, and I pick it up and I read it, and the first thing that it says is that milk causes mucus in the respiratory tract. I finally get in to see the ENT, and I tell him what I just read in the yoga magazine in his office, and guess what he says to me? You can't believe everything you read. Wow. This is what the doctor told me. So I said to myself, yes, and I do talk to myself because I have all the answers that I need for myself. So people call me crazy. I don't care what you call me. Just as long as you call me for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it doesn't matter. I said, self, let's do a little experiment. And I eliminated all dairy for a week. Do you know my sinuses dried up in a week? In 1 week. So that immediately not turned me against, but made me very aware of how the medical profession has their agenda, and their agenda is not our health.
Absolutely.
So I just had to share that. And that's not to say all medical professionals. No, let me clear that up. That's not all medical professionals. That particular medical professional. But the medical mafia is after us now. So
speaking on that, I cleared my allergies as a kid, my seasonal allergies, just from eliminating dairy.
Yes.
And it was remarkable.
Yes. And we've been trained. And and now that I think about it, it's not remarkable. It's the norm. We just haven't been trained to see that, because the food manufacturers have an agenda, and that agenda is to promote what they're selling and for us to buy it. They don't care what's in it. I have a producer, a TV show here, a local cable TV show. It's called the Higher Learning Network. Maybe 10 or so years ago, I had a makeup artist come in just before the show, and we're talking. She's doing makeup part-time, but she works for the FDA. And with the things that she told me about the FDA, such as it's a money game. They don't, as a manufacturer of a food product, I can send in the information, have the information on the side of the box as to what is in the ingredients. Doesn't have to be true. It does not have to be true. But the fact that you put it there makes it true. How about that? So you don't know what you're eating. If you didn't grow it yourself, thanks for Tower Garden, Jodi. Jodi. If you don't make it yourself, like you make your cookies, you don't know what's in it. So it's hit or miss. And your health is not a hit or miss situation.
Well, so great point. And you said you were in the doctor's office, right? So I brought this up. This is the education hours for doctors of chiropractic versus MDs. A lot of people I had heard over the years thought that doctors of chiropractic basically was like a college like a community college.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. So when you look at it, I know it's kind of hard to read on here. So anatomy and embryology, the DC has 456 hours, MD 215. And I'm just going to do a couple of these. Diagnosis, Doctor of Chiropractic, DC 408 hours, MD 113.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it.
Orthopedics, 168 for the DC, 2 hours for the MD.
And they don't train them in nutrition. How horrible is that?
Yeah. So, and here's the thing. I mean, even X-ray, right? 271 hours, 13 for the MD. So
doctors are trained in medicine, which was spearheaded by the Rockefeller Foundation. They do not have our best interests at heart. It's all about money, honey. That's the world we live in. It's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep that in mind as we move forward. Is this really for me, or is this about the manufacturer making gazillions more off of my health? And then I got to go to that doctor. I've had a chiropractor over 30 years. And I was introduced to him by an organization that I've been volunteering for over 30 years. And I walk into the office one day and he's there. He's about this big, weighs about 130 pounds. But when I went to his office and my back went out, I literally crawled into the office and I literally skipped out of the office just by a minor spinal adjustment. No pharmaceuticals, no pills. Nobody believed me, and I could care less. I could walk. Walking is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
So for those who are, when I have any kind of physical challenge, I had one maybe 6 months ago, and the first thing someone said to me was, call your doctor. I'm like, I'm calling my chiropractor. He'll know what to do. Something is out of alignment physically as well as mentally. So,
and those things are interconnected. And once you realize that, like you're mentioning, you start to realize like maybe I'm deficient in other areas, and you start to improve those areas, whether it's mineral or vitamin deficient. You start to see, your body enhance itself. And the body, if people forget, the body only wants to improve itself, so it goes through different or creates different mechanisms in order to protect itself, so protect the cells.
Yes.
So the more that we realize that our bodies are on our sides, but the food and the fuel that we're ingesting is ultimately creating toxicity within our body, where we're not able to actually, everything is a fog, everything is smokes and mirrors for, and the body just wants to get to that state. And what you mentioned about companies and their agenda. For me, I wrote on my fridge, I was like, if something doesn't make sense, just follow the money. That's what I like that.
Yeah, the body is a master healing machine. I want to just share with people real quick 2 things. And we have a caller coming on, 847-220. You're next in the queue. So you're talking, Zelda, about the manufacturers?
Yes.
So I know I've shared this story before. I won't assume we have the same listeners, right? So it was back in the, I think, 50s or 60s when Dr. Pepper was created. You know this story. Montre, do you know this story? Have I told this to you?
I do not.
So it was in the 50s or 60s, whatever that was, when Dr. Pepper was created. And what he created, the founder, was what's called the bliss point. And it was the exact amount of sugar, a formula for the exact amount of sugar, so the person who's drinking the Dr. Pepper would crave more. It worked really well. And then he sold that formula to all the food manufacturers. And that is why people have so many addictions to all the food they can't stop eating. So it's not people's fault. But we have a caller, and I want to bring him on. And hint, I kind of know who this person is. Hold on. So welcome, Andrew Calhoun. I know he has a question for you, Montre. Go for it, Andrew.
Okay. Hey, good to see you. Great to hear your message. I'm calling from the Chicago area. I have two questions. One more physical, one more mental. The physical is, I saw photos of you back when you had just maybe when you were with Northwestern, and then looking at a photo you got showing your bicep recently, you put on some good muscle. And I think that the listeners, especially the athletes, young athletes, say, how can you do that when you're a plant-based diet? How can you possibly put on that? And the photos don't lie. They show you coming out of Northwestern, what your arms look like, what they look like now.
Huge.
That does it. You can share that with me. And the other question you can share with some more mental things. Why don't you answer that one? I'll ask the next question after that.
Perfect. Go for it, Montre. What did you do?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the second question.
Well, he says he's going to pause on the second question
Okay.
Till you answer first. Yeah.
I mean, just in terms of my knowledge and understanding the body, understanding what protein is, understanding what amino acids are, I realized, a lot of the protein, quote unquote, that we were getting is through secondhand source. And so once you think about, the different types of animals that are in society, the ones who are really big, whether it's giraffes, whether it's rhinos, elephants, all these different animals that are really, the gorilla, they're plant-based. They have a certain genetic code, and we understand that, but they also get all their foods through the resources that they currently just due to their diet. And I realized, I was like, okay, I'm looking at our teeth, I'm looking at our digestive tract, and all of these different things mimic the animal, such as the gorilla or such as the elephant. And so when you think about those different, mechanisms that we have, I was just like, we're too focused on the protein, the supplemental types of, I guess, treatment or resources. I'm like, let's see if I can transform or just transfer my knowledge and my practices to a more plant-based to get the primary source and see will I have any effects or see will there be growth or anything that may decline. And so I took that risk. I did it during the combine. For those who don't know, the NFL combine, it's pretty much they bring top talents in from all over different prospects from all over the country, and they showcase their talent in Indianapolis with NFL scouts and X's and O's, right? But yeah, I took that step. I was just like, I'm gonna go to the primary source and get everything I need as much as I can from the primary source. And within those, within that time frame, I started to realize I cut down in terms of fat, got more lean, and I gained muscle. And my regimen in terms of lifting didn't change, energy only increased, and the ability to be the best person I could be was, I was on the right track.
Well, and so I want to just focus on, before Andrew asks his second question, you said you went to the primary source, right?
Yep. And
one of the most valuable lessons that I learned early on in my health journey was sourcing your food so it's, free of toxic chemicals, and then getting the food in its most original form, because our bodies are supposed to be the food processor. And as soon as you start processing the food outside the body's not doing what it's supposed to do, and it does all kinds of funky things, like that technical term, right? And then Andrew, you have another question for Montre.
I do. So this is you have to be in prime physical condition to be an elite athlete as you are playing at the NFL. And I don't know, I missed the very beginning. People may not know that if you look at high school, how many high school football players get transitioned into maybe 6 to 7% get a chance to play college. And out of that 6 to 7%, then 1% of those who actually make it to the NFL. So you're an elite group, an elite athletic ability, which we talked about with your fueling your body with primary source. And people know gorillas are strong. You don't see gorillas eating steaks, right? They're strong because they eat the source plant. But the question I've got is on mental. Kind of, it's out of the physical thing, but when you're a defensive back, people, when you watch football and the running back breaks a 10-yard gain, you say, that guy's really unstoppable. It's his talent. When a receiver catches the ball deep, they'll say, that defensive back's not doing his job. He's obviously not very good. He's not paying attention. What's it like mentally? Because you had to go mental. What you've been talking about the whole hour and a half is mental, deciding what choices you're going to make for diet. But from a mental standpoint, how do you prep yourself? Because people don't say anything about a DB, a defensive back who's doing his job well. They just kind of expect that. If the balls aren't being caught by the receivers, well, that's just he's doing his job. As soon as they do catch the ball and score a touchdown, obviously you're a sorry player. You're not doing your job. How do you do that? How do you overcome that kind of mental every play getting out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it kind of goes back to the pain versus future. When you think about the past versus the future, and you think about the pain, and you think about the fear. And sometimes we're living in both of these categories where we're not being present. We're focusing on what we can focus on and have that high degree of focus. And so whenever you're thinking about a sport, your craft, or anything that you have an investment into, you have to be present in that given moment in order to maximize that opportunity, to maximize your performance levels. And to have a high degree of focus is not simple. Preparation is really, really huge. So prioritizing the things that you will need in order for, that next day, whenever it's time to be present in that moment. And obviously sleep, don't compromise your health. And so all these preparation, compromising your health, or not compromising your health, and also having supporting cast also. So putting yourself around individuals who may be like-minded in a way of enhancing their lives, may not be like-minded in a way of, being stagnant or more so not trying to work towards something, but make sure that you have a healthy group of individuals in your circle. And also make sure you're asking each other and challenging those, each and every person to be the best that they can be. But just to go back to the mental point of how to be a DB or just how to be an individual, I think for me, being an athlete, it's just I'm an athlete, quote unquote, in the professional lens or whether I was in the college lens, but I'm an athlete outside of it too, because I have the agility to move and navigate, make decisions. I'm affected by past and future outcomes, but I start to ask myself, the only thing sometimes I psych myself out in a way where it's just the past doesn't exist anymore and the future isn't here. And so I'm sitting right here talking with you all, and I'm the only thing that matters right now is this. When I was a student athlete, the only thing that mattered for me, when I was a student, I was a student. When I was an athlete, I was a brother, When I was a mentor, I was a mentor. And it was just how can I optimize and maximize all of my time? And so I think whenever you have the athlete, whether it's on the field or off the field, the way you move in society, if you're not taking in the information and you're not able to process it and you're not able to be present, you'll never win. You'll never enhance your ability or even come close to that. And so what I challenge, a lot of athletes is just be present. You have a craft, you prepared yourself, trust yourself. And what I learned also, going into tests or going into different things, if you're not prepared, then you're going to have that fear of the future. If you didn't get any sleep, you're going to have that fear of tomorrow. But if I got some sleep and I'm prepared, the future isn't here right now. But when it comes, whenever the present comes for the next day, and the future comes, I'll be ready. And I think, being a DB, you may get beat one play or give up a touchdown, but no one cares about what happened the last play. The only thing that matters is what you do the next play. If you're able to make a turnover to get a stop or even to win the game, everything else in the past is erased. You think about people's legacy at times. People really only want to shed light on the things that are much more memorable and that cause a certain type of shift in energy. And it's about momentum. If you're able to continuously create that and it's an upward trend, it may not be, glory every day, and it shouldn't be. But that's the beauty of the journey that we have to, embark on. And everyone is different for everybody.
Great answer. Do you have any other questions, Andrew? Or
Thank you. I appreciate it. The last thing I'll say is that when you mentioned you got to surround yourself with the right kind of people, that's so true. Jodi talked about the 3 T's, and toxins is one of them, and people can be a toxin. So you got to be careful. Thank you so much.
thank you. We are going to go to commercial break. And stay on, Andrew, if you have more questions. We're just going to mute your phone for a moment as we go to commercial. So here, let me just do that.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Bianca, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson, Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses, and we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
Oops, hold on. Oh, wait.
Dear participants, hello and good morning and welcome to this webinar on the implementation.
Okay, so we're piping in somebody else. I love technology, and sometimes not. So we went into Horizon Europe or something. I don't know, because YouTube just keeps on playing. All right, so we I think Zelda went on a break, I think, for a moment, and what I'd like to so we left off talking about the mindset, right? And how important it is to surround yourself with the right people in order. Oh, Zelda, I think Zelda's back now. Okay, hold on. Yay! Hello.
Hi there. Had to go get my tea. I haven't had my tea this morning.
Hey, I got you. I got my Not Your Mama's coffee today.
I can't wait to have that, and I don't even like coffee.
Well, so
we have cocoa, so I can do cocoa.
you can do cocoa, you can do tea, you can do coffee. And the thing is, it's not your mama's, because we're making, here's the thing, guys. No one said that you have to do what your mama did in the kitchen. That's the point of that.
Because half of what was mama did was taught to her by her grandmother, which was taught to her by her grandmother, which was taught to her by another grandmother.
Yeah, and a lot of people know I had the most amazing mom on the planet, right? And so her mother made everything out of a can. Seriously, went from the can into the pot onto her plate. And my mom was obese, and by the time she was 16, she just stopped eating my grandmother's food and won a Sweet 16 contest.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And so when she cooked for our family, she made everything from scratch. And like what I do for Andrew, nothing's ever the same. I just make up something new every day. Right? And so my mindset is, what nutrients, like what does my body need today? What does Andrew's body need today? And then what nutrients can I just put whatever I'm cooking? Is it ginger? Is it cinnamon for my blood sugar levels? Is it oregano for, protection against bacteria and viruses? So I am cooking for health. And that's how people can even just have a blast in the kitchen. And it looks like we have a couple more callers. Montre, look what you're doing, Dominique. Yeah. So I'm going to take this next caller. It's 407-701. Give me a minute here.
Montre, did Montre come as a result of your mom's experience in Montreal, perhaps?
So we have a caller, 407-701. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Later.
The Grand Rising. This is Bianca in Florida, your Friday morning health and well-being host. And thank you, Montre, for your consciousness and your knowledge that you have gained in a very difficult sport. I wrote a book about my dad's journey with football, and when I was writing this book, the movie Concussion came out, and it came out actually the day that my dad's book was published. So I was really concerned about concussions, and my dad had an experience, but his was in 1950. So he had an early experience with concussions that wasn't serious, and then he had to retire. So my question for you, Montre, is how concerned are you? First of all, what position do you play? And are you you said you were with New York Giants?
Yes, that's right.
So he nodded yes, he's with the New York Giants. And
my dad played on back in the late 40s, and then he went to Cleveland Browns.
Oh, your father was a football player?
Yeah, with the NFL in the late 40s, early 50s.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Promote his book. I need to promote his book more often. I've been thinking about doing some more marketing on that. But I'm curious, what position, Montre, do you play?
I play safety.
He plays safety. I don't know if that's the connection.
And what does that mean for somebody who doesn't understand?
Yeah, so I'm on the defensive side, so I'm pretty much, safety is pretty much not allowing the ball or the ball carrier to get behind me. So I'm just pretty much a defender in those areas. So I'm just defending the entire field. Pretty much.
So Vieta.
So you're doing a lot of tackling?
Yeah, tackling, but mostly covering, I would say.
What's the difference between tackling and covering for sixth grade me? Sorry.
I'm mostly guarding like a player one-on-one, or I'm guarding a side of the field, whether we're in zone coverage. So I'm guarding the side of the field. So if the ball is thrown, then I go and tackle. But the tackles at time may not be, or they can be very, very violent, coming downhill or meeting, 20 yards apart. So tackling does become, a violent part of the game. And sometimes more so the tackling is just like within 5 yards. So it kind of depends on the kind of the spur of the game.
So Vienna's question though then is that's on the screen is, do you have concerns about managing pain and concussions?
Absolutely. You ready for me to answer this?
And I'm curious, what do you do to support yourself in those areas?
Yeah, this is a great question. Concussions, impaired cognitive function that tends to happen to a lot of athletes in general who have head trauma or have repeated head trauma over the course of time. And I've been playing the game for 13 plus years, and that's like half of my life already. And so thinking about, that and the things that I'm doing in order to protect myself, prevent, what I can prevent in a lot of these situations. My biggest concern right now is for the future. And we talk about that fear for the future. And we talk about, what are some things that we're doing in order to, enhance our well-being and improve our state of living over the course of time. And so, for me, I've taken the time to go to neurologists and to see like what are some deficiencies that I may be having that I can work on and things like that. And so I'm fortunate enough that I've only had one concussion throughout my playing career. And so when it comes down to that, I do have a certain benchmark in terms of if I have an X amount of concussions, then I'm calling, a quits to the game and moving towards something, else in terms of career-wise. And so for me, like I definitely had expectations and I have standards for myself. And so understanding that it can just be one time that someone gets a concussion and that can, create, the brain becomes, inflamed, and that could trigger a lot more other symptoms that the body may already have. And now, like, because of this inflammation to the brain, other parts of the body may react differently. And so understanding those different, concepts and things that could happen, I'm really, really aware and prioritize my brain health as number one priority in terms of, with that connection with sports. And in terms of like managing pain, I'm just really big on holistic things in terms of like how am I able to get my body back for the next day. You think about Epsom salt baths. You think about getting the proper sleep, and obviously the foods. And I'm thinking maybe there's some like compression boots that help with getting the lactic acid out of muscles for the next day and things like that. And CBD oils, things like that. They have helped tremendously. Essential oils also over the course of my playing career professionally, because it's been more so 2 to 3 years that I've been moving towards this more holistic transition. So this has really been helpful for me.
So these are great questions, and
How long have you been playing football?
I've been playing football since the 6th grade. I've been professionally for the past 2 years.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Do you have plans for a future other than football?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk toothpaste. Vienna, you'll understand in a moment. Let's talk toothpaste.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've been working on a couple of projects because I understand that, I've put purpose in football. This is why it's been important for me. And I realize as an individual, once you realize, become spiritually awakened, you realize that, people are like, I'm trying to find my purpose. You kind of find it along the way of living life. And I realized that we put purpose in things, we put value into things. That's why it's important to us. And I realized being from South Georgia, the high emphasis in my community was being an athlete. And I was just like, how can I identify my environment? And I was really good at being a football player or being a basketball player. I was like, let me go thrive at this. And then I became and I embodied, my purposeful journey through, my environment. And then I realized I got into other different environments and started to realize like, okay, like I still have purpose in this, but like this isn't really sustainable just due to the natural essence of the game. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I started to realize, there's other categories that, us being multifaceted individuals, there's other categories that I can embody and truly embark on a journey with. And so speaking on toothpaste, this is part of a wellness. Like I'm really big into wellness and understanding, one thing being toothpaste and understanding that the hygiene, the oral hygiene behind it, and understanding, only 150 years ago that people started using toothpaste or toothbrushes, quote unquote, manufactured. And it's just like, what were we doing before that? What was the hygiene before that? And I looked it up, and I know a lot of the African tribes, they would use twigs, which had pretty much natural I guess the word's not going to come out right now.
It's pulling, right? Isn't it pulling where you like?
Yeah, it's pulling.
Coconut in your mouth?
Yeah, and so what they would do, they would just pretty much like clean their teeth with that, and their tongue. They would do everything with it. And I started realizing that these people have really healthy teeth, and you start looking at the cavity rates over the course of years, and you start to look at how whenever sugar was introduced and like that fight for that, and even floss. So I started to realize what does toothpaste actually mean to our daily lives, and then I also started to look into the ingredients. And I started to realize, and I became a huge reader and listening to podcasts, just understanding what fluoride was and understanding how that affected, pineal gland, nervous system, all these different things that are very, very important for the human to be, just a human. And I'm just like, what is this fight on humans right now? And I'm like, how can I prevent myself from not experiencing these different things that could potentially happen. And so what I started to do was create my own toothpaste, and start taking everything into my own matters. And I think one thing I learned was like, what does self-care look like? And I talked about creating cookies or doing things on my own, doing the due diligence. I was just like, a lot of people gonna say, oh, just do this or do that. But it's so interesting because it's so hard to give a true definition of what self-care looks like because it's different for everyone. And so
right.
I was just like, creating things, being innovative, showing my feminine energy of creativity and expression is just like a part of me. And I shouldn't feel like being in a masculine environment that I should shy away from that. And I had to really own up and be like, hey, like, Montre, you have this side of you where you can ultimately enhance yourself. And I had to really just, come to terms with that, accept it, realign, refocus, and be like, hey, if I want to, have this upward trend that I say I want, I need to actually tap into the resources and the aspects and the essence of who I am that I bring to the table.
The ancestors, it's your granny and your grandfather and your great-grands before them. They're all speaking through you. What a blessing.
Yeah.
That you recognize that. You're awfully young.
Yeah, I'm 23.
Oh my goodness.
I'd like to connect with you.
You guys are both in Florida, so I'll make that happen.
I thought he said he was in Georgia.
Wow, that's awesome.
No, so Montre grew up in Georgia, plays in New York, lives in Florida.
Okay.
So for all the stalkers out there, now you know how to find them. No. Sorry. Cancel.
What part of Florida?
I'm currently in Miami.
What part of Florida?
Miami.
Okay. I'm near Orlando, so yeah, I'd like to hook up. I've been working on a documentary that I've titled Beyond Football, and I have a lot of footage of my dad who passed away in 2019, and a lot of footage of him because he coached high school football after his career in the NFL ended. So I have a lot of interviews with some of his students who were really greatly influenced by his life. And so I'd like to have another part of this documentary be about young football players like yourself who are planning a career after the sport of football. So I look forward to connecting with you, Montre, and I'm really impressed by all that you're doing, and I'm so grateful that you're on this path of holistic health. So keep up the good work.
At such a young age, too. I love
Well,
it.
yeah, so he's what, you're 23, is that what we said?
I'm
Yeah,
20.
crazy. And I just connected you guys both via text. So
Okay.
you're now connected. But the thing is, that's
The things he knows at 22 already. It's
What?
amazing. It's beyond amazing. That's why
Well,
I said
so
it's
now you understand.
you. Yeah.
I was so excited when I met Montre Zelda, and Montre last summer I said to you, you need to be on Zelda's show, right? And then I got a show, and I'm like, be on my show.
He'll be on Monday morning mindfulness in the future.
So, the thing is, when I learned about what you were doing, I mean, first of all, what you're doing as a 23-year-old, forget the fact that you're in the NFL, is transformational in its own right.
Yes.
And then, I put up some stats in here in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. Like and Andrew and I were talking about this morning. I think I was almost like 7% make it from high school to college. And I think it's, forgive me, I can't remember the stat, but it's like probably maybe 1.7% make it to the NFL. And so what I want to point out, since we only have a few minutes left, look, you had health challenges. All the odds were flipping against you. And not only did you rise up, but you have a high emotional intelligence, a high so Vieta, Montre, I wanted to say, but I shouldn't say it this way, but I'm going to anyway. Of course, he's got something planned for after football. He went to Northwestern. He's brilliant. Like, he's brilliant. He's not stupid. He is so smart. But a lot of people who are smart don't have emotional intelligence, and it's such a rarity. And so you are in the unique position to lead the world. And that's why I brought you on. Because
things at 22 that I didn't learn until in my 60s.
50. I was 50. So know that you are a bright light.
That's why I said you are the light.
You
are the light. You are the light. So many people will follow you.
There's something going on. There's something going on with these brothers at 22 and 23. I saw a brother by the name of King. I can't remember his last name, but he's doing some amazing things with youth and teaching them how to fix cars and paint houses and become entrepreneurs. So I'm like you, Jodi and Zelda. I'm so impressed by this young man's initiative and his intelligence and his brain. Yes, we want to protect your brain at all costs.
Well, so I brought this back up on the screen, and I just want to mention and do a shout out to Amen Clinics, right? So Amen Clinics is integrative health, and what they do is they do a scan. It's called a SPEC scan, and it shows exactly where the underperforming parts of the brain are and overperforming in some cases, and then provides a supplement, sometimes a drug, for a short period of time, okay? But most of the time, a supplement to help the brain heal itself. And so, the football players need to know this. They need to know that this is accessible to them. And when you think about, and I don't personally think it's that costly. Anybody who wants no information, just put a text, put a note in the thread, I can connect you. But I don't think it's that costly when you think about the fact that your brain controls your entire body.
You can't put a cost on that. You can't.
Love your brain.
Agreed.
So I guess I have to run commercials, but I'd like to talk to you for, 5 more hours.
There's no more commercials. It's 57. There's no more commercials. We'll have to do part 2 on Monday morning mindfulness, which we have a vacancy coming up in April. So
okay,
if you're available the 2nd or 3rd or 4th Monday in April, we'll have you on for Monday morning.
Okay, that works.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you came on in March. This is National Nutrition Month, right? And this is, you know, you are walking the talk. And Natural History Month, but Herstory, but he's male, so.
But he has the feminine energy.
Yes, well, he does, and that's an emotional intelligence. Woo, 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 woo. Sorry. Sorry.
Thank you for being who you are.
Anything you want to say, Montre, that before we end this program, because, you know, I think it's important. And Viet, I'm going to mute your phone right now. Okay. So.
And give us the history of Montre.
The history of
Montreal. That's the first thing I thought.
Oh, well, so Montre, the origin of Montre, it's French. And I'm not really sure like why my mom was interested. I asked her, she was just like, oh, I just like the name. So like, I guess that's what I'm gonna go with. But like, yeah, I'll come across some people who are Haitian and like, oh, your name is French. And like, oh, it means to watch or watch. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that. And so yeah, I just have like, yeah, it's a cool. I guess it's a cool name. People like it, and then the origin is just French. But yeah, if I had to leave like 2 things or 3 things on the table, I think I have like different mottos for each year or agendas that I want to, mental agendas. And so, you know, the things right now, well, the one that I had last year was own your intellectual capital. I think we're part of an organization where we feel like our intellectual, you know, capital that we have isn't important. We come from different walks. We've seen things differently. And it doesn't matter if you may not know all the answers, you're still a part of the puzzle. So I'm gonna leave that on the table. And also the thing for me this year is always speak truth to power. And it doesn't matter like, you know, what situation you're in. It doesn't matter what the political agenda is. You know the truth, speak the truth. You know the cause of something, speak your cause, speak your story. Because you matter. And then the last thing, you know, I like to challenge everyone because we think, you know, we have education and we went to school and skills how to get to a certain destination, whether it's become a doctor, become a nurse, become a lawyer. But when you look at truly what life is, life doesn't really have a direction. Things happen where you may go down a totem pole or may go down a different, you know, pathway that may lead you to the other side of, you know, you had an aspiration to do something else, but because you connected with someone or you saw something else and you told them through a different path. And so with that, it's just more so saying, you know, instead of continuing to try to follow a certain pathway or something, put a fork in the road and become your leader.
And become your what?
Become a leader. Become your own leader. Become your own person within that journey. So whenever you're able to make these different decisions, you're doing it based off things that you truly are. Because I know sometimes we get into a system or we get into an organization or we get into just any type of pathway, we tend to go with the flow. And so I think sometimes when it comes down to whether it's the education system or the things that you've been socialized to think, sometimes we're just following, but there's no fork in the road that gives us an option to say, hey, Montre, you know, it's time for you to lead now. You have accrued enough knowledge and enough resources to where you need to go out here and take a risk. You need to go out here and put yourself in a position where you feel like you can make decisions on your own, and mistakes are going to happen. Let's normalize it, but let's continue, because that's the upward trend. Going back to the first beginning of that index fund or that index fund, the index fund of that 20-year span. It may look like it's a steady trend, but within those 5-year ranges, there's a lot of recessions. There's a lot of, you know, pullback, and so it's okay. Those pullbacks are normal, but you know that inclination is, and that's what we're going. That's submit. We're trying to get there. So just don't be afraid.
Thank you for having the courage to say that and to share that, because many people will open up because they heard it from someone that they trusted.
Sure.
And they don't even know you, but it's
Absolutely.
heart situation. So
Yeah.
thank you for being you. For being old enough to step out in your truth.
Yeah.
Well, so I need some coaching here. So I didn't play the ending.
It's not too late. You can play it now. Just,
Okay, just asking.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoops. So you see how I take myself so seriously. Let me just play that now. And
one of the comments, Jodi, where Deborah Smith says, I would like to know more about the concussion rescue program.
yeah, so I'm going to get that to Deborah, and I'm also going to post that in the comments. I saw that. The concussion rescue program is through Amen Clinics, and Deborah, I will connect you to that so that you can gather more information and like that. So and look at this comment. Yeah.
So young but wise.
That's for you. I'm not the young one here in the group, and neither is Zelda, just saying.
Age ain't nothing but a number, baby.
Oh, well, amen to that. So
yes,
I'm going to play our thank you ending. It's a little long. I'm going to, say thank you, Montre, for coming on. Zelda, thank you for being here. Naima, Andrew, and everybody else who called in. We're really grateful. Thank you for shining your light, Montre. And hopefully this will be the first of many to come where we can help you get the word out, because your word is important. So with that being said, I'm going to click that button. There'll be some other images on our screen. So hold on. Let me just do that. Whoop.
Thank you for being a part of the Female Solution, and we look forward to having you on Monday morning mindfulness and doing a meditation with you.
Absolutely. I'm excited and I'm ready.
Absolutely. We thank you.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every
make
show
that
in
louder.
archive at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution.
Look at a little.
You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows. Listen to our radio shows. Read our books. And be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our whole family listening all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, India, Zanyaba, Kamsamnida, Russia, Germany, Danke, Poland, Jean-Couillon, France, merci, Spain, gracias, Italy, grazie, Egypt, shukran, Ghana, medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Niabonga, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tatakur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.